You saw the headlines, you heard the radio. I'm useless. Absolutely useless. That one raw line from Lewis Hamilton didn't just echo across the paddock. It exploded across social media. Instantly, it became a symbol. A 7-time world champion, now wearing red, seemingly cracking under pressure after one of his worst qualifying sessions in years. Hungary, a track where precision and timing are everything, had just dealt him a blow, P12, while his teammate Charles Leclerc landed on pole. The reaction, brutal. Comment sections lit up. Critics sharpened their knives. Some said Hamilton had lost it. Others said Ferrari made a mistake signing him. And in that storm of noise, one voice was expected to be silent, or worse, angry. Fred Vasseur, the team boss, the man who had brought Lewis to Maranello. Surely he would be furious, disappointed, ready to question the project. But what if I told you he wasn't? In fact, he stood his ground, not against Hamilton, but against the narrative. Because this isn't a story about a driver losing his edge. It's about how a team responds when the spotlight gets harsh. And Ferrari, of all teams, didn't flinch. When the world mocked Hamilton, when fans assumed chaos was brewing behind the red garage doors, the voice that came through wasn't a pundit trying to spin a headline. It was Fred Vasseur himself. And his words, they flipped the entire story on its head. What if this wasn't the beginning of the end? What if it was the start of something else entirely? A new chapter, a deeper kind of leadership. One where mistakes aren't just punished, they're understood. This is the Hungarian GP qualifying story you haven't heard, with context, with nuance, and with a twist you didn't see coming. Hungary 2025, a track known for its tight corners, tricky grip, and brutal demand for precision. It's the kind of place that can make or break a weekend in just one qualifying lap. And for Lewis Hamilton, it nearly broke him. After pushing hard in Q2, he crossed the line only fast enough for P12. No mistakes that jumped off the screen, no spins, no lockups, just not enough. A few tenths short. In the other car, Charles Leclerc put together a masterclass, not just making it into Q3, but securing pole position with a near-perfect lap. In that moment, the contrast couldn't have been sharper. One Ferrari on top, the other stuck in the midfield. And then came the radio. I'm useless. Absolutely useless. 5 words, broadcast to the world, and instantly viral. Within minutes, the internet was ablaze. Fans flooded comment sections. Former drivers chimed in on live TV. Clips spread like wildfire. The narrative? Hamilton had cracked, lost confidence, lost control. Some even said Ferrari had backed the wrong man, that the honeymoon was over. But behind the noise, behind the headlines, something more human was happening. This wasn't a driver having a meltdown. This was a driver frustrated, raw, and brutally honest in the heat of the moment. And the story wasn't over, because what came next didn't match the chaos. It challenged it. Naturally, the questions started coming in. After all, this was Lewis Hamilton, a name tied to dominance, to pole positions, to winning under pressure. And now, sitting P12 in a Ferrari while his teammates sat on pole, journalists wanted answers. Was he losing his edge? Was the pressure at Ferrari too much? Had the team made a mistake? But Fred Vasseur didn't flinch. He didn't throw Hamilton under the bus. He didn't feed the drama. Instead, he did something rare in the high-pressure world of Formula One. He defended his driver with clarity, calm, and context. Lewis missed it by just a few hundredths, Vasseur explained. It was a brutal session. Even Charles barely made it through. That alone changed the tone. It wasn't a disaster. It wasn't a collapse. It was a matter of inches. Just tenths of a second separating glory from elimination. Then, Vasseur went deeper, giving the kind of detail most fans never get to hear. The track temperature dropped suddenly during Q2. The wind shifted direction. Tyres, which need the perfect balance of heat and grip to come alive, simply didn't switch on. And when that happens, one tiny mistake on the outlap can cost you the whole session. If you overheat turn 1, he said, you're done by turn 14. In other words, Hamilton didn't fall apart. He got caught out by the smallest margins in an unpredictable session. Vasseur didn't see a broken driver. He saw a tough qualifying, shaped by variables no one could fully control. And with that, he shifted the entire conversation. Away from blame, away from panic, back to data, detail, and calm leadership. Exactly what Ferrari needs right now. And if you really looked at the data, not just the headlines, the picture became even clearer. Leclerc may have ended up on pole, but he was hanging by a thread just moments earlier. He only scraped through Q2 by a single tenth of a second. 1/10. That's less than a blink. It shows just how unpredictable and razor-thin the margins were that afternoon. The track conditions weren't stable. They were shifting constantly. One lap, the grip was there. The next, it wasn't. The temperature dropped, the wind changed, and the cars became difficult to read, even for the best. In that kind of chaos, the tyres become everything. If they don't hit the perfect temperature window at the exact right moment, the lap is gone. There's no time to adjust mid-run. That's what happened to Hamilton. His mistake wasn't huge. It wasn't obvious. It was barely even a mistake. It was one of those invisible problems. Tyre prep, slight wind direction, maybe a touch too much push on the outlap. But in modern Formula One, that's all it takes. One gust of wind in turn 1, and your entire lap can unravel by turn 14. Vasseur called it the hardest pole we've ever achieved, and that says everything. Even the car that landed on pole barely held it together. So no, Hamilton didn't choke. He didn't fall apart. He got caught out, not by nerves but by conditions no one could fully tame. It wasn't a driver failure. It was a technical misfire in a session that punished even the smallest slip. All of this, the qualifying drama, the media noise, the viral quotes, it might seem like a storm built around one Saturday in Hungary, but the truth is, it's part of something much bigger. Ferrari isn't just reacting to a single race weekend. They're in the middle of a full-scale transformation, a culture shift. For years, Ferrari has struggled to balance talent, pressure, and expectation. Now, with Hamilton in red, they're trying to build something stronger, something more stable. But that kind of change doesn't happen overnight. Hamilton is still finding his rhythm. He's adjusting to a whole new environment, a new language, a different engineering style, new systems, and a team built on decades of tradition. Meanwhile, Leclerc isn't just familiar. He's flourishing. 5 podiums already. He's sharp, consistent, and in total sync with the car and the garage. On paper, he's the one leading the charge. And from the outside, it would be easy to say there's a rivalry forming. 2 big names, 1 team, 1 spotlight. But Fred Vasseur doesn't see it that way. He refuses to let this turn into a headline war. It's data, not division, he said. That one line sums it up. He's not feeding the media's need for drama. He's managing a team with patience and vision. This isn't about picking sides or punishing mistakes. It's about building a foundation where both drivers push the project forward. One might be adapting, the other might be delivering. But inside the garage, it's not about ego, it's about progress. And that mindset, especially at Ferrari, is something new and something powerful. That I'm useless moment wasn't part of some media stunt. It wasn't PR spin or a dramatic act to stir sympathy. It was real. It was raw. It came from a place of pure frustration, the kind only elite athletes understand when they know they've given everything. And still, it hasn't worked out. For Lewis Hamilton, that radio message was the sound of a driver who holds himself to the highest standard in the world and felt, in that moment, like he fell short of it. Later, when asked about how he was feeling, Hamilton didn't hide behind a press-friendly smile. He opened up. "It's been the most intense season of my career," he admitted. "I need to recharge. I need to laugh. Be around kids. Reset." These aren't the words of someone giving up. They're the words of a human being, one who's carried the weight of greatness for over a decade and now is carrying the expectations of Ferrari too. This isn't defeat. This is humanity. Because what Hamilton is chasing now isn't just trophies. It's something deeper, legacy, redemption, a place in Ferrari history that has chewed up and spit out even the greatest before him. He chose this. He chose the noise, the pressure, the chaos of Maranello, fighting through it, and he's not running from it. He's standing in it, not because he has to, but because he believes there's still more to prove. Hungary might seem like a crack in Hamilton's Ferrari journey, the kind of moment that makes people question everything. But sometimes, what looks like a crack is actually what holds things together. Fred Vasseur sees that. He sees beyond the timesheet, beyond the headlines. He knows that while Leclerc is delivering the results right now, Hamilton brings something else: experience, insight, and the potential to help shape the future of the team. That's why he's backing both, supporting Leclerc for what he's doing today and Hamilton for what he can still bring tomorrow. This isn't a fight between 2 drivers. It's a balancing act. And if Ferrari gets it right, if they manage to harness both talents without letting pressure tear them apart, they could build something truly unstoppable. But time is ticking. Hamilton can't live off his reputation forever. He needs results, he needs points, and he needs them soon, because the team is watching, the fans are watching, and whether they admit it or not, the entire Formula One world is waiting to see if this bold gamble, this pairing of youth and legacy, will come together or come undone. So here's the big question. Did Fred Vasseur just show the world how to manage two elite drivers without letting the team fall apart? Or is this calm, calculated response just the quiet before a much bigger storm inside Ferrari? Because when you've got one driver pulling in podiums and another still searching for form, the balance doesn't stay steady forever. But maybe, just maybe, this is how great teams are built. Not by avoiding pressure, but by learning how to carry it together. Let us know what you think in the comments. Was Vasseur right to back Hamilton so openly? Or is this the early sign of a slow unravelling at Ferrari? And if you're someone who lives for deep F1 breakdowns, the emotion, the legacy, the leadership behind the lap times, then make sure you subscribe. Hit that bell, join the conversation, and share this with someone who still believes in Hamilton's mission in red. Because this is more than racing. This is legacy in motion.